Right. Good evening, everyone. My name is Mohit Halawat. I welcome you all to today's webinar about art and science of answer writing. Good evening, Firoz. Am I audible and visible? YouTube people, please reply. Am I audible and visible? I welcome you all to today's webinar on art and science of answer writing. So kindly confirm, am I audible and visible on YouTube? Thank you, Archie. Thank you so much. Okay, let's start without any further ado. So in today's webinar, in today's session, in today's class, what our focus is majorly on like how you can write great answers. It is only about your UPSC mains, whether you are writing this year's mains or whether you are someone who will be targeting future mains like 2026 or 2027 maybe. This is going to be a very useful session for all of you, right? So without any further ado, let's begin our class. So first of all, these are our few past toppers, rank Shakti, rank 1, and Kanika Anab, rank 1 in IFOS examination. Both of them have been the student of short mains test series last year, and both of them secured rank 1. And whatever I am going to tell you in today's webinar is what we tell in our short, what we teach in our short test series. But in around 40 minutes or 1 hour, not everything can be taught, right? Not everything can be told to you. So if any one of you want to meet me personally, want to meet any of the team members, like we have senior mentors in our team, we have subject experts in our team, you can fill up the form given in the link below. In your YouTube description, you will find the link. And by filling up that form, you can also download the template based approach that can be utilized in ethics answers, right? So let's begin our session now. Let's begin our class. In the beginning, we will be looking at some of the mistakes that are being made by UPSC aspirants in answer writing. And many of those mistakes are so general that many students, they are not even aware. Most of them, they are not even aware that they are making these mistakes, right? For example, the first mistake is, and it is the biggest mistake, not able to decipher the demand of the question. And most of the students, what they believe, they think that they can easily decipher the demand. Maybe they can decipher the core demand, but what about non-core demand? What about auxiliary demands? What about the value addition? So this area, this not able to decipher the not able to decipher the main demand or core demand or all demands of the question is again a very big mistake. And many students, whether veteran, whether new students, they make this mistake on a regular basis. I have been reading rankers copies, I have been reading senior students test series, and they all keep making these mistakes. They all keep making. So we will be discussing how you can correct this mistake, right? Another is improper structure. Now structuring is something we focus heavily upon in our program, right? And structuring is something that many students, even rankers, they have a huge scope of improving the structure of the answer, right? Because content is something that will build over time, but structure is something that is something relates to something conceptual in answer writing. If you do not understand if you do not have the fundamental understanding or do not understand the concepts of underwriting, only then you will be making structural mistakes. So we will be talking about how improper structures can ruin your answers and what you can do to correct them. Another mistake made by is poor introductions. Now introductions again are very important, right? And many students, either they write very generic introductions or sometimes they skip introductions because they do not have the time, or sometimes the introductions written are very poor in quality. So we will be talking about that as well, right? Now again, the content problem, right? Another mistake, the big mistake is the content problem. Many students, they lack so much content, right, that their answer becomes very bland, very general. They are writing, the quantity is less, the quality is even worse. right? So we will be seeing how you can improve the content in this class as well, right? Another is useless value addition. Now all of the aspirants, somewhere you have heard that it is very important to do value addition in your answers, right? But what is the correct form of doing the value addition? What is that right value addition that you need to do, and what is the purpose of doing the value addition? It's not about throwing extra content which is not relevant, right? So we will see how you can do value addition, what kind of value addition you should be doing, and what kind of value addition you should be avoiding, right? Another mistake is improper flowcharts or diagrams. This again, many students, they do not understand what kind of diagram they have to make or what kind of flowchart they have to make, in which part of the body they have to make the flowchart, in which part of the body they do not have to make the flowchart, or they should avoid making flowchart. Although there is always a flexibility, there is no one rule of where to make a flowchart or where not to make a flowchart, but going by, let us say, analyzing toppers copies and seeing UPSC trends, how the toppers are scoring marks, we can see that okay, these are the areas where we should be focusing upon in flowchart method, and these are the areas where you should be writing in paragraph format or in point wise format, all those things, right? Another mistake is superficial way forward. Now everyone these days is writing way forward. Why? Because you have to give reforms, you have to give solutions. This is a fad in the market, this is a trend in the market that is going on. Every teacher, every ranker, every mentor you talk to, they tell students to write way forward. But what are they writing in the way forward, or what should exactly be written in the way forward? Hardly any person gives you the right answer, right? So any superficial type of way forward, if you will be writing, is not good. So we will be talking about how you can improve your way forward. That is again we will be looking at. Another mistake is bland conclusions without any taste, conclusions that are boring, right? Conclusions are the ending of the answer, and it should not be boring, right? So what approach you should take towards writing a conclusion, what should be your philosophy about writing a conclusion, we will be looking at that as well. And last but not the least is lack of articulation skills, right? Articulation is the way somebody tells, somebody communicate or tells their content, right? So that again is a very important skill in examination like UPSC, right? And many students, they do not have that skill. Maybe they have good hold on grammar, right? Maybe they have good vocabulary, but when it comes to articulation, they fail there. So what are these articulation skills that someone or a good aspirant needs in UPSC? We will be looking at that, and we will be seeing how one person who has a poor articulation skills can improve it. Okay, so let's tackle each of this one by one. Hello, fun facts. Key ingredients of excellent answers. So now we will be talking about what are the key ingredients or all these mistakes that how you can improve, right? Basically, the first is deciphering the demand of the question, right? And that deciphering the demand of the question, that depends upon so many factors, not on one factor. It depends upon many factors, right? One of the factor can be, just give me 1 second. One of the factors can be why. The first, when anyone starts writing the test, the first question they should ask, why this question has been asked. This question, when you ask to yourself that why this question has been asked, it points you towards something that UPSC wants to evaluate in your answers, evaluate through your answers. They are looking for a quality. And when you ask yourself a question that why this question has been asked, why UPSC want me to ask this question, to answer this question, then you will find the answer, and it will point toward either some recent news, either some syllabus topic, either some context. So this question becomes very important in deciphering the main demand or the core demand or the context of the question, right? Another factor while deciding the context of the question or demand of the question is directive word, comprehending directive word, understanding of the directive words, right? And trust me, not even 1% of the students, they have good hold over what does this directive word means. If let us say discuss is given, or analyze is given, or critically analyze is given, or examine is given, right? All these words are different. So the answer has to be different, maybe a little bit, but it has to be different. Any answer which is in critically analyze or critically examine cannot be the same answer, right? So, but do you know the difference? This is an important thing. So regarding critical directive words or tail words, there is a very good video uploaded on Vajiram's channel itself by Brain Sir. You can go and watch that video, gain a comprehensive understanding of critical words or tail words. right? But to decipher the demand exactly, both of these things are very, very important. You have to learn how to decipher the directive words. Only then you will be able to understand what are the core demands, what are the non-core demands. Another point is that understanding the tone of the statement, that what is the tone of the statement. That also tells you whether the tone is little bit pessimistic or optimistic. This tone of the statement, it points you towards that which part of the answer, in which direction you have to steer your answer. So this again is an important parameter. Another area is focus on keywords given in the statement of the question, right? So all these 4 points, all these factors, when combined together, they help you in deciphering the exact demand of the question, right? And for our sample question, we can take for demonstration purposes: discuss the role of department related standing committee in improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the parliament. Right, this is a sample question, and I want all of you to, let us say, write an introduction, or what would be the demand of this question, right? You can answer me in YouTube comments. I'll be looking at your YouTube comments. So discuss the role of department related standing committee in improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the parliament, right? So what is the exact demand? What are the core demand? What are the non-core demand? What could be the value addition here? Please tell me. I'm giving you 1 minute. So I'll be waiting 1 minute for all of you so that you can tell me. What could be the core demand here? Discuss the role of department related standing committees in improving the efficiency. This is a keyword. Effectiveness, this is a keyword. Role of DRSC, this again is a keyword. Discuss, this is a directive word or tail word, what we call them. So if we take this combined as a combined, then we will be able to decipher what is the core demand of this answer. So the core demand here would be role of DRSCs. In what? Role of DRSCs in improving the efficiency and effectiveness of parliament. But as the critical word, or as the directive word, is discuss, right? Discuss is both a critical directive word as well as a non-critical directive word or descriptive directive word. So this is discuss, so that this is the core demand, CD. Then after the role, you have to write challenges that DRSCs face, challenges that they face in performing their role. And their role should be in the context of only and only improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the parliament. Now this is the context: improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the parliament. This is a context. In this context only you will be writing. In this context only you will be writing, whether it is introduction, whether it is body, anything. In this context only you will be writing. If you go out of this context, UPSC will punish you heavily, right? Whatever you write, whether it is introduction, whether it is a body part, core demand, non-core demand, it has to be in the context of improving efficiency and effectiveness of parliament, right? So role is the core demand. Then after that you can write challenges, but that is non-core demand 1. And now you are writing challenges, and let us say it is a 10 marker. Then in conclusion, what you can do, you can write some reforms and conclude your answer. But if it is a 15 marker, it would be a better approach. You write a way forward, right? We will be talking about how to write a way forward, how to write a conclusion, how to write an introduction further in this class. Okay. So I hope you get an idea on how to decipher the demand. And regarding the directive word or tail word, as I told you, there is an amazing video on the channel. The class has been taken by Biren sir. You can go and watch that video. Okay, it will give you a very good clarity, right? Now, what is a proper structure? So first we talked about demand. Now we will be talking about structure, right? Demand is done. Now we are talking about structure. So what is a proper structure, right? Structuring, anybody knows that you have to write introduction, body, conclusion, IBC. So, but structuring an answer in a proper manner, right? Structuring an answer in a complete manner, in a very good structure, that structure goes way beyond introduction, body, conclusion. It goes way beyond introduction, body, conclusion. You have to divide the body into different parts, right? which part you would be writing first, which part you would be writing later, right? If we take the example of last question, then the role you would be writing first, right? Then you would be writing challenges. Are you getting the point? Right? First role, then challenges, then way forward. So this is how you would be structuring your, let us say, answer. But then again, is structuring over? Is this the structuring process, right? Dividing the body in the different parts? No. Then you have to go, let us say, organic linkage between two parts. And this is one of the most important points. This is organic linkage between two parts of the body. Just give me 1 second. This point, right? Now this is one of the most important part, and not many students do that. There is no linkage between two parts of the body. They do not write a linking line, a linking paragraph, a linking flow chart. Nothing is written there. And what does it do? It makes the answer very mechanical in nature, lifeless, without any flow, without any coherence. So linking two parts of the body or linking two parts of the answer is a sine qua non to write a great answer. If you analyze any toppers copies, if you analyze Shakti Dubey's copies, you will see that there is an inherent linkage, whether it is through the last point of some part of the body, or if there is a linking paragraph between two parts of the body, or there is a linking line or a flow chart or anything, or a pie chart, something like that. So you have to understand when you write different parts, and that linkage, you don't have to invest too much time, too much space, too much energy, but that linkage has to be there. Because whatever you are writing, it is a communication between you and the examiner, and that communication should not look like lifeless. Are you getting the point? So this is again very, very important. Your answer should not be only mechanical in nature. Mechanical answers, they do not fetch good marks. Desperate intern, in order to provide specific attention to certain matters, specific department letters have been created to deal with the key task of parliament. Yes, desperate intern, nice approach, I would say. But in the intro, we will discuss what we are going to write in the introduction, okay? And I'm pretty sure most of you are wrong in that area. Now, which part to write first, which part to write later? Order of the answer, this again becomes very, very important in the structuring part, right? And then prioritization of the points. Which point you should write in the beginning, which point you should write in the end. Now that is a structure, right? The most important point should come in the beginning. Many people, they write without any structure. First they write generic points, then suddenly an important point comes into their brain, right? Because they have not practiced enough, they have not thought about it, that this matters a lot. Which point I'm writing in the beginning, it matters a lot, it creates an impression. So all these things, they have to be taken care of while writing a great answer. Okay, now moving forward, next is brilliant introductions. Now, any topper that you see, any topper that you will be seeing, they write amazing introductions, right? They write amazing introductions. Why introductions? Because introduction that set the tone for the rest of the answer, right? And there are so many types of introduction that can be written, right? And I would say to one question, there are probably 10 introductions that can be brilliant at the same time. There is no one perfect introduction, but there can be 10 or 20 introduction that can do the purpose. But what you should not write, let's begin with that. What not to write? I have seen many times students, what they do, they rephrase the statement of the question itself and make it as an introduction. Do not rephrase the statement, or do not write the statement of the question verbatim, because that serves no purpose, right? So that is a big no. Another thing that they do is they write very generic introductions. For example, let us say the question is about DRSC. DRSC are very important for improving the effectiveness. Of course, they are important, but this becomes a very generic line. It can be said about nearly everything. If the question is about Mahatma Gandhi's contribution was very important for achieving freedom. Of course it was. But that introduction does not give anything concrete, does not give some great content, right? And that has to be done. So what to write? First of all, it should be crisp and concise. Because many times what students do, they write long introductions, especially when I see questions related where they are writing background kind of introduction. They cannot concise their background within, let us say, 20 words or 25 words, something like that. This is an ideal length of an introduction. Maybe if it's a 15 marker, maybe you can stretch it up to 30 words, but not more than that, right? 3-4 lines of introduction, that is good. But whatever you will be writing, it should be first of all crisp and concise, and it should be contextual, right? So for example, if I am, let us say there is a question about inequality, but when we have a conversation about inequality, I do not, or nobody does give a definition of inequality, right? Then why do students in a question related to inequality which does not ask about inequality, this question did not ask the definition of inequality, the question is about inequality, but it did not ask that give a definition. But here many students, they write definition of inequality or definition of poverty, they will be writing. So why the definition? No, it is not needed. Do you ever give definition in normal conversations about poverty or normal conversations about inequality? So why do you do that in the answer? The answer is a conversation between you and the examiner. You have to understand that. That is very, very important. You can start with some context. You can start with some Oxfam report. You can start with some data about inequality, some recent news about inequality. Or in this context, we took the example of department-related standing committees. So many students, what they would be doing here, they would be writing that these committees were established in 1993 and there are 24 in number and all those things. Basic information. Is that information asked? No. Right? It would be better, it would be much, much better if the students write about declining efficiency. If the student write about, let us say that in 15th Lok Sabha, 70% of the bills were referred to DRC, but in 17th Lok Sabha, only 17% are referred. This shows declining efficiency and effectiveness of parliament, right? And this shows the role of DRC also in evaluating the bills, right? So start with some data, some fact that sets the context. Whatever you are writing, whatever the conversation you are having, it should not go out of the context, right? So this is the main part, right? Now, just a second. The content should be concrete. What do I mean by concrete content? By concrete content, I mean that if you are writing something, let us say the question is about polity, you are dealing with subject polity, then you should be writing about constitutional articles, you should be writing about Supreme Court judgments, you should be writing about some recent news, some committee's recommendation, law commission or something like that. If it is about history, you should be naming name of the people, dates, name of the organizations. If it is about geography, there if you should be writing about location, latitudes, longitudes, all those things. If it is about economy, you should be writing economic survey data or budget data, right? So whatever you are writing has to contain some concrete content. It cannot be generalized. And whenever you are writing any data, any fact, any recent news, you especially data fact, you have to tell the source of the data, because most of the time what happens, data changes with the source. Sometimes there is a variability. So all of these are small things, very small things, but you have to keep in mind all of these things, right? Another thing is contextual. As I'm saying, that whatever you will be writing in the introduction, it has to be contextual. Do not go out of the context. For example, the question that we took, sample question, that is what is the, or discuss the role of the department related standing committees in improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the parliament. So the context is whatever role you will be writing, that would be in the context of improving the efficiency and effectiveness of the parliament. So the introduction has to point towards whether declining nature of, or whether declining quality of efficiency of the parliament, right? Or the data should show that there is a decline in efficiency and effectiveness of the parliament. Or if you are writing about DRC, you have to point toward their role in improving, or the important part they play in whether in improving or whether in decreasing the efficiency and effectiveness of the parliament, right? That is the context. Efficiency and effectiveness of the parliament. So you have to recognize the context and you have to stay contextual all the time, right? Now, moving forward, another is content. If answer writing in UPSC is a game of chess, if we imagine it is a game of chess between you and UPSC, who will win, or you and the examiner, then content is your queen. Any great answer should or has or always contain great content. And that great content comes only after that. Great content comes only after relentless practice, comes through reading, revising, note making. Without note making, you cannot remember so much content. So all these things, you have to make notes, but many students, they do not know how to make notes, right? Most of the time there is a misnomer or there is a misconception among students that whatever topic we are reading, if we write a short summary of that topic within one page, it became one pager notes. No, these are not the correct methods, right? So you have to focus on, okay, these are my weak areas, this is how I should make notes, this is what UPSC is asking. You have to analyze the PYQs, right? You cannot just go about reading content without analyzing the PYQs. So the content building exercise is a large exercise. It's a ongoing exercise. It will, throughout the year, you will be building content, whether you are reading newspaper, whether you are reading your standard books, or whether you are writing test, and after writing test you are reading, let us say, model answers. After writing test, you are discussing your test with the mentor. So all these things, they help in content building, right? So but why? Because content is the king or the queen, as I call it, right? So in content also, you have to look at that the quantity should be enough, right? How much quantity? It should be enough, but how much is enough? That is the question, right? So if we analyze toppers copies, so what is the trend? In 10 markers, toppers are writing, let us say, from around, in 10 markers, toppers are writing around 12 to 14 points, right? In core demand of the answer, they are writing around 7 or 6 points minimum. They are writing 6-7 points. In non-core demand, they are writing 4 points. In way forward, they are writing 3 more points. So minimum they are writing 12 to 14 points even in 10 markers, right? And when I see the difference between those people who are getting selected, those people who are getting very good rank, and those people who are not getting selected, the quantity is one of the biggest factor. They are writing 8 points or maybe 10 points at max, right? So that won't help you. You have to generate more content. But then again, from where to get the content? How can I generate more content? This is again a problem. Many students, sometimes they will go to the teacher or go to the mentor or some ranker, if they happen to talk to them. Their question is, how can I tackle any question of which I do not have the content upon? Right? If you do not have a content about a topic or on a topic prepared, how can you tackle that question? That again is a very important question, and every student has asked that question. But has anyone given any answer to that yet? No, because most of the people, they do not know the answer to this question. What you have to do here, you have to have this art or this science, that where you have the keywords and you can break that down, right? Breakdown of keywords, that is very, very important. You will break down the keywords to generate more dimensions. You will break down the keywords to generate more content, right? You should have frameworks ready. Okay, this is the framework, this is the template, right? And this breaking down of keywords, this having templates, all these things we teach in our short program. I'll give you one example of a framework from where you can generate content. For example, let us say you are dealing with a question related to agriculture, right? Let us say you are dealing with any question related to agriculture, any question it is, right? So what I did, I made a framework of, let us say, farmers, right? And maybe I have not read about the topic, I do not know how to generate the topic, but I can simply remember that, okay, farmers, I know this is a word and it is related to agriculture only. So here I will talk about F for finance. I will generate 1 point related to finance, whether it is, let us say, lending of finance, whether it is loans, whether it is fiscal allocation policy, anywhere. I will think from allocation in the budget till, let us say, to the last mile, till one farmer or till one, let us say, woman farmer. How much finance is involved? You can easily generate 1 point here. Another point is access. It can be access to finance as well. It can be access to financial products as well, or it can be access to inputs, right? Inputs like seeds, inputs like fertilizers, weedicides, all these things. The access or access to market you can talk about. So I will see in terms of access here, right? Now this R I will see in terms of research. For agriculture, we have ICAR, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, right? So I will see what they are doing. or what new science and technology, what new things are coming into agriculture, or we can what areas of science and technology, or what are emerging technologies that we can apply in this field or apply in this related question. Then I will M for market. I will talk about market here, right? I will talk about backward linkages to the market, forward linkages to the market, prices, everything, intermediaries, all these things. When I think about the market, I will think about this. Then I will go to E, environment. Any agriculture that I should be doing, or any agriculture question, has an environmental angle, isn't it? Right? Don't they? They have environmental angle, right? So I will be looking at that as well. Then last R, I will be looking at reforms or policies or measures or bills that can be taken or that have been done by the government or any government related agency, right? So you can generate one more dimension here. And in the S last is sustainability, right? It is about sustainability. So here I will be talking about sustainable methods of agriculture, right? So this way I generated almost 20 points, almost, right? Even more than that. So all these templates and how to apply these templates, this is what you have to learn either by yourself or by help of some mentor, some seniors, some rankers, right? But this is more important because content is so much that you cannot remember everything on your own, right? UPSC, to read for UPSC is like consuming the whole ocean, right? And there is an ocean to read, but you can only read a bucket full. So you have to choose your bucket wisely. You have to utilize the frameworks, the template based approach, the application of template based approach, the breakdown of keywords. All these things you have to learn, right? And then you will be able to generate enough quantity of content. But is quantity enough? No. Only quantity will not serve any purpose. You have to focus upon quality as well, right? You have to focus upon quality as well. How to improve the quality? Every point or most of the point that you will be writing, they should be substantiated with data, with fact, recent example, best practices, right? So that substantiation material, how to get that material, or what kind of material do I need for substantiation? That comes from, let us say, PYQ analysis. That comes from your own reading. That comes from discussing with seniors, discussing with mentors, right? So this quality, this has to be taken care of. If you are reading Topper's answer, you will see after each point, either they give some data, facts, some committees report, some examples, some best practice. They have something, right? Because why this is needed, why substantiation is needed, and not only about substantiation. Sometimes the point are of lower quality and or higher quality. Even if, let us say, you do not have good substantiation material in one point, but if your point is good, the point is self-evident, right? It is obvious that whatever you are telling does not need any substantiation, then it is of, let us say, quality point. So you have to gather quality points. And how to get quality points? Again, you will be reading, you will be discussing, but then again, if you are writing within the context, that improves the quality. Once you go out of the context, no matter how good that point is, quality is diluted, because that is not what is asked, right? Substantiation we covered. Then interlinkage. Now this is an area, all these things you might have heard before, but interlinkage you also might have heard, but this is an area which is lacking even in some Toppers copies. Interlinkage between two topics, interlinkage between two papers, right? So if you realize these, if you try to interlink, because knowledge is integrated, it's an integrated whole, right? If you are, let us say, writing a question about social problem, right? How can you talk about ethics in that question, right? I was reading one answer of Shakti Dubey, and the question was about drug abuse, right? The question was about drug abuse. Shakti Dubey, you all know, she is rank 1. The question was about drug abuse, right? GS paper 1, drug abuse, social problem. But here in the introduction itself, she invoked an ethical angle. What she talked about? She talked about pleasure without conscience. Gandhiji's 7 sins, right? Pleasure without conscience. So this interlinking ability, you have to generate in yourself also. You have to make yourself capable that you can interlink. And for this, what you have to do, first of all, it is very basic. You have to memorize the syllabus of UPSC. You cannot interlink two parts if you cannot even memorize what are the parts to interlink. This is the very basic, right? So all these things make your content great. Now moving forward is value addition, right? So what is value addition? Value addition does not mean just extra content, right? It does not mean just that you throw some extra content, whether that content is relevant, whether that content is not relevant, how much relevant is that content, in which form you are giving a value addition. All these things matter, whether that value addition is needed or not. There is a purpose of value addition. Either it should help you in answering other parts of the body, or it should give something. Let us say there has to be it should be able to organically link two parts of the body, right? It should be within the context of the question asked. That is why the value addition is needed, right? Value addition is not discretionary. Some people think that, okay, it is my discretion whether I give value addition or not, and if I give value addition I will get 0.5 mark extra. No, it is not discretionary. Just because the addition word is there does not make it discretionary. It means you have to add value. And in today's era, the competition is so much. If you are not adding value, you will not even get an interview call. Forget about the selection, right? Not just related to the topic, right? It is not that you have some content related, whether that content is relevant, you don't even think about and you just add value. No, that is not needed, right? But relevant information with the purpose. So what is the purpose of value addition? What is the purpose of value addition? That is more important. For example, let us say you are solving an ethics question, and you have to the question does not ask about, for example, stakeholders, right? But you might have seen that every topper is writing stakeholders, right? Or even if they have time, everyone tries to write stakeholders even if they are not asked. So why these stakeholders are written, right? You might have seen like stakeholders hub and spokes model like this in many answer copies of toppers and your friends, and you might have done that by yourself also. So why this is needed? The stakeholders you are writing, the purpose for you is to utilize those stakeholders when you will be talking about issues, to utilize those stakeholders when you will be talking about ethical dilemmas. They will give you a roadmap here. Not just, it doesn't have to be written just, right? If you are writing and UPSC did not ask this, they will not award you any mark for it. But if it helps you making other parts of the body better, if it helps you making other part of the body, the content there better, then you utilize it. There is a strategic purpose for every value addition, right? Sometimes people do value addition between introduction and body. They will make a figure, they will make a hub and spokes model, they will do something. Why they do that? If you will realize, if you observe seriously, then you will find out that it is being done so that introduction can be organically linked with the body part. Or sometimes that has to be done in the, let us say, between two parts of the body. So there is a purpose of value addition. And if you are doing value addition just for the sake of it, that won't help you. You should know why I am doing this. Sometimes it is for you, sometimes it is for let us say UPSC, right? So anything that you are writing, it should not be just for the sake of writing. Now flow charts and diagrams. This again is a very important area. Flowcharts and diagrams. Where to make flowcharts, where not to make flowcharts. Now this is a debated topic. Many toppers copies, you will see that they make in every part, they have made a flowchart. In every part, literally every part, right? So this is a debated area, and most of them, most of you, sometimes you wonder that I cannot make a flowchart. Will I get good marks or not? Right? So let me assure you, if you are not good at making flowcharts, first of all, you can still get very good marks. You can still get very good, let us say, rank or selection. Even if you look at Shakti Dubey's copies, she had made flowcharts, but not very much. I have seen toppers, they make so many flowcharts and they get good ranks. Shakti Dubey, she had made flowcharts, but very less, somewhere only, 2-3 flowcharts every paper. That is not enough, right? If in 20 questions, if someone is making 2 or 3 flowcharts only, that is not that much, right? Even then she was able to get rank 1. So what is the key? The content. If you have good content and you presented it in neat and clean manner, you will get good marks. But now let's come back to flowcharts and diagrams again, right? So where not to make flowcharts? If it is a main demand of a body, or if it is a core demand of a body, right? Main/core demand, then every aspirant should avoid to make flowchart there. Because in main or core demand of the body, you are expected that you will be writing in point wise format. Every point you will be substantiating with some data, fact, example, etc. Right? So if you are making a flowchart there, the substantiation will become little bit difficult for you. Although, as I said, there is no hard and fast rule. It is not cast in stone. Sometimes you can make a flow chart also in main demand, but most of the time you should avoid. And in auxiliary demand or in non-core demand is where you should be making flow charts. Whether it is hub and spokes model, whether it is, let us say, a circular diagram or something like that. So that the value of the flow chart or is that it conveys the same amount of content or let us say similar quality content in less space and less time. It has a purpose also. Just do not make flowchart by thinking that if I am making the flowchart, my answer will look good. No, it's not about good looks only. It has a purpose that it conveys, it saves your time, it saves your effort, and it helps you in judicial or judicious management of space, right? So all those things are very, very important. Where to make a diagram? Now diagrams are very important, right? Especially in, let us say, in geography, diagrams are a part of the content itself. They are not part of the value addition there. If you are, let us say, tackling economic questions, you might be making some graphs, some charts, right? If you are dealing with history questions, or if you are dealing with IR questions, art and culture questions, you might be making some diagrams. So all these diagrams, wherever you find the scope that okay, I can make a relevant and contextual diagram here, you should be making those diagrams. But if you try to make diagrams directly in the examination hall, that won't be possible. You have to make a notebook here in, let us say, at your home itself, where you collect all the diagrams, where you collect all the flow charts, and you practice them. Only then you will be able to make flow charts. Many students, they come to me, they say that, sir, we cannot make flow charts. I do not know how to make flow charts. This is why you have not practiced this enough. Those people who you think they are making good flow charts in the examination hall, they are doing it impromptu. No, they are not doing it impromptu. Maybe they have developed the skill that they can make it in very less time, but they have practiced a lot for this, right? So whether it is map of India or whether it is map of Indian Ocean, right? So all these kind of maps or diagrams, you should be ready, and you should know what kind of diagrams I should make, right? For example, in geography, if it is about a phenomena, then rather than a map, it would be better to show the mechanism of that phenomena. If it is El Nino or if it is Indian Ocean dipole, you should be making the mechanism. You should be showing the mechanism of that phenomena rather than the location of that phenomena. If it is about distribution of resources, what you should be now, you should be showing the location through the map, right? So you should know what kind of diagram I should be making. That clarity again is very, very important for fetching good marks. Moving forward, now let's talk about amazing way forward, right? So what is a way forward? You might have heard, okay, you know this, right? You know this. It is simply you will be writing some reforms, some measures, right? Some committee's recommendation, something like that. So this is a boring part, right? No, it is not, right? Because way forward, what is the purpose of way forward? The purpose relates to what is the purpose of you appearing in the examination. Why would UPSC or why would the government of India want to hire you? Because the government is facing problems in day-to-day administration. They need people who can solve those problems. They need problem solvers. So way forward not only gives extra contextual relevant content, it also shows that the person who's writing the way forward is a problem solver. It's a solution oriented personality. This person is right for the job. So that shows, that has a psychological impact as well. So that shows that whenever you find a scope, you should be writing reforms, you should be writing measures, because when you become an administrator, that is your job, to find solutions, to give if you are in policy making, to make reformative policy solutions, all these things, right? And what not to write. Now let us focus what not to write. So what happens here in way forward, some people, they write what to do. They write what you can do, what to do. Now if you are writing what to do, that is not a good way forward, because see, problems are there, and even government, even everybody knows what to do. So you should be focused. If you are writing what to do, you are only giving guidelines to the examiner that this has to be done, like you are the boss. No, you have to tell the solutions, and solution will come from how to do. So rather than focusing upon what, you have to focus upon how you can do something, right? For example, I have seen many generic points in way forward, like awareness generation. It can be applied everywhere. So avoid these kind of very generic statements also. But if you are doing awareness generation only, then how you can do that awareness generation? You have to tell that whether using social media, using role models, in which way you want to do that, right? Your way forward has to be legal, has to be ethical, has to be practical and implementable, and at the same time should provide a good solution, right? So rather than writing just what part, you have to focus on how part, right? What not to write, as I told you, do not write the what part. Do not write very generic statements like community preparedness if you are dealing with disaster management. But how can you do that, right? Everyone knows that community has to be prepared, but how, right? So all these things you have to take care of. Now moving forward, brilliant conclusions. Now conclusions, many good students even find a problem in conclusions, right? They find problem, this is a very problematic area. So why conclude? This is the first question. Why your answer needs conclusion? And many people do not understand this answer, and that is why I see in many students answers, they write a way forward or they write the last part of the body and they move forward. They think that conclusion is not necessary, right? See, conclusion is necessary because the examiner is reading your 150 or your 250 words, right? So that examiner deserves an ending, right? An answer without a conclusion is similar to, let us say, a story without an end. You are curious and you do not know what happened in the end, so that will make your answer look like that. Without a conclusion, your answer will look half baked, unfinished answer, and in any half baked or unfinished answers, you will only get half marks, not more than that. Whatever you deserve, of what you will get half, right? Also, before giving you marks, if I am the examiner and I want to give you marks, the last thing that I'll be reading your conclusion. If the conclusion is not there, I will have a feeling that the answer is not complete. So the examiner will give you less marks. If the conclusion is bad or poorly written conclusion, again that have a psychological impact, because that is the last thing that the examiner read before giving you marks, right? So the conclusion has to be there first of all, and it has to be great, it has to be good, right? So it has a psychological importance we talked about, and why we should write it we talked about. Now what should be the approach to write a great conclusion? The conclusion is not just a closing remark, not just a passive closing statement. I have seen many students, they write conclusion for the sake of writing conclusion, just to show to the examiner that I completed my answer. That is not needed at all, right? If your conclusion is not a good conclusion, it is as good as no conclusion at all, right? So what should be the approach? Your approach should be that whatever conversation you are having in the body part, your conclusion should uplift that conversation by a notch or by one level or two levels, right? Or it should be the next logical step of whatever you are writing in the body part. All I'm trying to say, your conclusion should feel like climax of a story or climax of a movie, where in the last one page of a story, if you are reading a story or a novel, in last few pages, the conversation or the storyline that goes up, that generates more interest, right? If you are watching a movie, for example, and if you did not see last 15 minutes, for you that movie is not seen at all, that is always half seen for you, right? So what happens, that those last 15 minutes, sometimes they are more important than the previous 3 hours. So that is how your answer, your conclusion should be climatic in nature. It is a climax of your answer. That is the approach that you should take, right? So here, for example, or next logical step, as I was saying, so for example, if you are writing challenges in the body part, in the last part of the body you wrote challenges, then your conclusion should be what comes after challenges. After challenges comes reforms, so your conclusion should be reformative, right? Your conclusion should be reformative in that case. Or if you are writing, let us say, way forward in the body part, just give me 1 second. If you are writing way forward in the body part, last part of the answer you wrote way forward, right? Then what is the next logical step? If these steps given in the way forward, they are implemented, then we can achieve some goal, some target, some vision, right? So the potential outcome or the positive outcome of that way forward, right, that you can write in the conclusion and link that outcome to some goal or vision, like Viksit Bharat, Atmanirbhar Bharat, right, net zero by 2070, doubling farmers income. All these are goals, they have to be utilized in conclusion. Your conclusion should take the conversation towards some long term vision, towards some end goal that we want to achieve as a nation, as a humanity, right? So this is how you would be writing your conclusions. Moving forward, now the last but not the least part, I would say this is the most important part, how to be articulate, right? What does UPSC requires? What articulation skills UPSC require? First of all is brevity. Brevity means whatever you are writing it concisely, you are to the point, right? And you are writing precisely what you want to write. All these things, right? You might have heard about the quote of William Shakespeare that brevity is the soul of wit, right? So that brevity is the soul of wit. It simply means that if someone can tell whatever they want to tell in very less words, that is a mark, or that shows that person's intelligence. Wit means intelligence. So if you are concise, to the point, that shows how intelligent you are to the examiner. Okay. Again, another thing is right word versus almost right word. You have to use right words, not almost right words, right? You have to use the exact words. If you read UPSC syllabus, you will find that extra marks or marks would be awarded to for, let us say, effective and exact expression. This has been written in UPSC syllabus. So that exact expression by using right word, not the almost right word. Like almost they have the same meaning. No, that won't cut it, right? So you should know what kind of words you are using, right? Mark Twain once said the difference between lightning and the difference between the right word and almost right word is the difference between lightning and lightning bug, right? Lightning bug, that jugnu that you see every day, and lightning is that bijli that jo kadakti hai asman mein, right? So there is a huge difference between those two, right? Although both of them shine, but there is a huge difference, right? So the right word will have the impact like a lightning, and the almost right word will only have an impact like a lightning bug. The impact will be very less. The examiner will not be impressed, right? And then you have to use the keywords also. Subject specific keywords you have to prepare. If it is polity, economy, every subject has its own vocabulary. Every subject has its own keywords. Every topic has its own keywords. You should be aware of those keywords. In your notes, there should be a list of keywords related to that topic. Keywords are very, very important, right? So, for example, if you are dealing with, let us say, question of secularism, and you are writing principled distance model, India follows that model. So that example, those three words, principled distance model, you can write a whole book about principled distance model, but that conveys an idea in very concise, very precise, in very to the point manner. If somebody is writing, for example, Sarv Dharm Sambhav, these three words, you can write a whole book on these three words, but that conveys your idea very aptly, very precisely. So try to use keywords related to the subject. Okay. And then you can use your quotes and phrases, right? Quotations by let us say ministers or prime minister or Mahatma Gandhi. All these things, they make your answer impactful, they make your language impactful. You have to learn that art of articulation, right? This is a big difference. That will also make your answer more lifelike. That will also let us say reduce the mechanical nature of your answer. Okay, so these are the things that you need to focus upon. Now there is a, in the end, I will say, if you want to join any course, this is the scanner, you can scan it. And if I have given a list of templates that you can use in ethics paper, ethics, whether it is theoretical paper, whether it is quotations, whether it is, let us say, case studies. So for all those templates, what you can do, you can the link is given in your YouTube description, right? Fill that form and download the templates. You can apply those templates. If any one of you find, let us say, difficulty in applying those templates, you can visit us, you can meet the team, you can visit me, or you can visit other team members, you can meet them, and you can learn how to apply these templates, or if you want other templates, again, for that you can contact us. Okay, so thank you for joining. I hope this class was useful for you all in answer writing, and take care. God bless you all.